Hello fellow foodies, we are back again with another edition of Tasty Tidbits. I'm your host Christopher McGee, and I bet you're wondering what we're going to be making today. Good old household American favorite, macaroni and cheese. Mac and cheese. I've taken the liberty to go ahead and parboil my noodles for the mac and cheese. We're using large elbows, about 12 ounces. And what that means, I cooked them ever so slightly beforehand, but not cooking them all the way through until they're completely al dente, just to leave a little bit more of a bite to the noodles because we will be baking them in the oven to finish off the dish. So that's gonna continue the cooking process of those noodles. Like I said, we got 12 ounces of the large elbow noodles. We're gonna have a pound of cheddar cheese. Gotta have a ton of cheese when you're making mac and cheese. We have 1 cup of pepper jack cheese. We're gonna have 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of pepper. We're gonna have a teaspoon and a half of garlic powder, and then a half a teaspoon of paprika. Other than that, over here on the side, we got a cup of flour, all purpose. We're gonna have a half a cup of veggie oil. We have 1 small can of cream of chicken soup, and then 2 cups of regular whole milk. So I've already started to preheat my oven to 375, so that way after we get everything mixed and put together, we can go ahead and pop that in the oven and finish off the cooking process. But little trick, if you guys took the liberty to go ahead and look at one of my other videos, which I hope you did, I talked about how sometimes when I make mac and cheese, I take chicken broth and boil my noodles in beforehand. What that's gonna do is just add another level of flavor to the dish. Super simple, easy step in making this dish, but it really does increase the flavor profile of your mac and cheese. I'm gonna go ahead and take my veggie oil, throw that in the pot, and then I'm gonna take my flour. I'm just gonna take a whisk here and whisk in my flour. This is gonna make what we call a roux, and this is the base for our cheese sauce. So the consistency you're looking for with roux is gonna be like a wet sand consistency, and that's really easy to kind of gauge. We all know what wet sand is, or looks like, hopefully, if you've been to the beach. With this roux, you definitely wanna let it cook just for a few minutes, so that way it cooks out some of the flour taste of it, but we're really not looking for a dark, rich color, kind of what you do when you're making a gumbo. Everybody knows when you make a gumbo, you stand over the pot for hours, you're stirring it, and you're really creating a rich, deep color and flavor with a dark roux. Now that we've let that roux cook for just a few minutes, I am going to stir in my milk, and we're just gonna slowly stir this in so that way we can kind of break down the roux, even it out a little bit. What I'm gonna do is take this cup and fill it up with a little bit of water, probably about 1.5 cups. The reason I'm gonna add some water to this is because we do have that condensed chicken soup, that creamy chicken soup, and I like to add a little water to it just to break it down a little bit. I'm cooking this on about medium-high heat. We don't need a super intense heat. I don't want it too hot when I start adding the cheese to it, just because it will break the cheese. And we want a really good smooth cheese sauce for the mac and cheese. All right, just make sure we get in there and whisk it really well. All right, so let's go ahead. We're gonna add that small can in of cream and chicken soup. We'll whisk that in really well. This recipe was partially my grandmother's recipe, and also kind of like a newer take, you know, mac and cheese. Not a lot of people use a roux base when making mac and cheese. Some people, you know, tend to go the easy route, use Velveeta, whatever you like, but me personally, I kind of mix the two with a little bit of my grandma's recipe and my own recipe. So we're gonna do about half, actually about 3/4 of the grated cheddar cheese. And like I said, we're cooking this on medium-high heat for the roux, but we're gonna do it medium-low heat for the cheese, just because it'll melt a little bit smoother and we won't have a really clunky sauce, and it won't break. You know what, this is a little thick, so I'm gonna add about another cup of water. The thing about this cheese sauce is, You can always reserve it, especially if you make too much. Put it in a Ziploc baggie, date it, freeze it, mac and cheese. All right, so the oven's talking to me and saying, hey, we're preheated. Where that mac and cheese at? The thing about a roux is, the longer you cook it, the thicker it's gonna get. So we just really, really want the cheese to kind of break down and create that cheese sauce. We're still looking a little thick, but let's add some more heat to it. And then I'm gonna finish adding the extra little bit of water that I got there. So now I'm just gonna take all of my seasoning, dump that in the pot, give it a good whisk, and honestly, we're just about ready to throw this puppy in the oven. You don't have to, but I'm gonna give this a little taste here and see what we're tasting like. Perfect. Onion salt, onion pepper, that little bit of smoked paprika really gives it a great flavor. All right, so I'm gonna turn my heat off here. Let's just pour this right on in here until we feel like we got enough cheese sauce. This is smelling really, really good, you guys. A lot of times people like to add eggs to their mac and cheese before they bake it. I personally don't. I like it to be more of a creamy style mac and cheese, a little bit looser in comparison to some people bake it and it's more like a casserole where it's really, really tight. With the amount of a roux cheese sauce that I made, I am gonna reserve, looks like probably about 2 cups of it. All right, now that we have that all mixed up, I got my 8x10 Pyrex baking dish. Oh my God, y'all can't see this, can you see it? It's cheesy mac and cheese. I got my mac and cheese added to the pot. And then what I'm gonna do to create that really cheesy kind of charred cheese crust on top, I'm gonna add my remaining cheddar cheese as well as pepper jack. Cheddar cheese on top. All right, the pepper jack is on top now. All right, now that we got everything mixed up, the cheese is on top, what I'm gonna do is take this and bake it for about 20 to 25 minutes until golden brown. We get that good crusty cheese layer on top that we all love so much, and then we'll be ready to grill. Okay, I'm gonna give y'all a quick look-see of this. Boom, check that out. That mac and cheese life. Okay, so I got my fork here. Really, really good. Perfect amount of salt, pepper, flavor to it. I love that little like extra kick that the cream of chicken soup gives to the mac and cheese. If you guys were interested in like sprucing this up at all or adding some, some different flavor profiles to it, feel free to chop up maybe like some bacon bits, add those to the pot, pepperoni, do some seasoned breadcrumbs on top if you like that crispy like breadcrumb crust. Personally, I'm in it for the cheese. All right, well, just want to say thank you again for tuning in to another episode of Tasty Tidbits, and I am your host, Chris McGee. Please like, subscribe, and share to all my videos, and try the recipes out. Tell me if I can really cook. Have a great day. Mac and cheese. What you can do is take the residual mac once it's chilled, scoop it up with the ice cream scoop, and then take a little bit of flour, roll it in flour, roll it in egg, roll it in panko breadcrumb in that order, and then deep fry it. Mac and cheese balls. There's a little jersey there. Mac and cheese balls.